Hi, this is Billy. In the last few video, I showed you how I created this 3D design for a combined stove and oven that can be packed for your next picnic or camping. In this video, I'll share with you how I test it, and at the end of the video, I'll provide a summary of the testing results and why the oven is not working as expected. So please stay on until the end. If you like my video, please click like, subscribe, share with your friends, and click the bell so you will be notified when there's a new video. Thanks a lot for watching. The whole oven and stove is weighed 1.17 kilogram without the net and without the chimney. The stove and oven is packed in 3 pieces. The base piece is the oven. All the walls and base are put together using hinges that I create myself using the metal sheets themselves. Then the next layer is the stove. The top layer is the cooking pan and the buffet and the chimney. So everything is locked down using some shafts without screws. So you just push it in and secure it, put the net on, we are ready to burn. So to make burning wood easier, I use the solid alcohol. The solid alcohol will last for a few minutes, enough time to burn the wood and light them up. I bought these solid alcohol pieces from the Chinese Taobao website. I think you may be able to find similar items in your area. So I picked certain dry wood from the ground and chopped them into suitable length, but still is a little bit long, so some of the wood just extended out from the body of the stove. The first time when we use the stove, we need to burn off all the paint and other toxic material, and after a while I started measuring the temperature. You have very hot temperature at the chimney around 500, and then at the top around 400. I use this type of electronic infrared temperature meter. It can measure up to 900 degrees Celsius. For the window, I use mica instead of the high temperature glass. The mica can sustain the same high temperature around 800 degrees like the high temperature glasses. They both suffer from the same problem, which I will tell you later. For the mica, I bought it from these shops in the China Taobao website. It measures 44 times 155 millimeter and it's 0.1 millimeter thick, very thin. So the problem they suffer with is after a while of burning, the glass or your mica turns black, blocking your view to the fire. So what happened is these wood sticks that you pick from the ground, the skin of the tree have a dark residue when you burn or vaporize and stick onto your glass. Some of the commercial products, commercial stove, what they do is they build an air channel. Air coming from the top of the glass and flow down to the bottom. And they bring together fresh oxygen that allows this dirt to be burnt off with new fire. However, I tried that, it didn't work out well, so I'm still trying to understand technically how to make it work. I will be using the oven to cook this sweet tomato. I use a net to elevate it from the ground because the closer to the stove, the hotter. In the end, this is how the sweet potato turned out, around 80% cooked. It's soft enough but still hard in some area. This is because the oven itself is not getting enough temperature. So for an oven to work, it should have 200, but I'm only getting 100 something. One of the reasons why we have the stove is we want to watch the fire. If you film it using high-speed camera and play it back using slow motion, you kind of enjoy the dancing of the fire, and that is fascinating. So I keep watching it, and that's one of the reasons I want to build this type of stove. After burning for a while, around 10 minutes, the fire get bigger, and let me start measuring. The chimney is around 500 degrees. The top of the stove is around 400 degrees Celsius. The body is around 300 degrees Celsius. But the oven itself is not too good. The oven temperature falls below 200 degrees. I didn't get the proper station meter. If I got that, I could measure the proper temperature. Now because I opened the door of the oven, all the hot air just went out. So if you like to measure, you need to buy one of these oven meters. They can allow you to measure up to 500 degrees Celsius. The water gets boiled in around 10 minutes. I didn't design a swinging door for this oven and stove because I find that a lot of the time I have to pick up very long wood sticks for burning, and they tend to stick out of the stove anyway. So instead of using a swinging door that never get chance to close, I will use a sliding door that can close in from the top. If they are long sticks, we will not just let them stick out, and the door can open in half, letting in fresh air to aid the burning. After the water get boiled, I started cooking. First, let me try the beef. Let's dip a few drop of oil. Let the oil simmer in the pan and let's start making the beef. It will be followed by egg and lastly the sweet potato. I'll stop talking now. Stay till the end. At the end I will give you a report of the test results and my suggestion to improve it further. Thank you. Here's the verdict, the test result. I find that the oven is not working very well. The stove is good enough. The reason why the oven is not very well is because the placement of the oven. There are 3 different types of oven placement in the stove. First one is this one. Put the oven at the back of the stove. The hot air that generated by the burning of the wood will first rise and hit the side of the oven. And then it continues to rise, pass through the channel created by the oven's ceiling acting as the buffer and rising up to the chimney. As the hot air moves, it carries all the hot heat energy that will raise the temperature of the oven. However, in this case, the oven will be heated on the top and on the front side, but not at every other side. So there's maybe a problem of unequal heating in the front versus the back. So your pizza may be fully cooked at one end, but raw at the other end. Then I look at 2 other types of setup. On the left is the setup where you place the oven beneath the stove. So when the stove burns, the base of the stove will be heated with the wood being burnt, and the heat will go down and somehow hit the ceiling of the oven that is placed below the stove. It will work if your oven is shallow, but if your oven is a little bit tall, the heat will never pass down to the base of the oven. So this is also very inefficient because heat is rising to above, right? Goes up, not goes down. So the base of the oven will seldom get enough temperature. The second type of setup, the one on the right hand side of the diagram, is to replace the buffer with the oven itself. Well, let's recap what is the purpose of the buffer. The purpose of the buffer is to allow the air to be routed, the hot air to be routed through as many parts of the oven as possible. So the heat can be used to heat the walls of the stove and the oven, and before they are released to the atmosphere through the chimney. So that's the work of the buffer. If we replace the buffer with the oven, all the heat will be surrounding the oven. First, the wood will be burned, it will rise, hot air will rise and hit the base of the oven. Then the hot air will continue to the right hand side, rise up the side wall of the oven, and then rise to the top. The top of the oven and the top of the stove will become a passage for the hot air to go horizontally before it rises up to the chimney. Along this path, all the heat will be given to the oven, and this will be a very efficient design. You don't need a second buffer, your oven is the buffer. So in the future, I will be improving my stove using this design. So we can have a very efficient oven with a hot enough stove that you can cook on the top. However, this will mean that your stove will need to be taller because it also includes your oven. Otherwise, your oven will be a little bit shallow. So that's the part that we need to figure out. Maybe it will be harder to pack, size will be bigger. Let me figure out how we can still collapse it in some packable units. Well, that's the end of my video. If you like my video, please click like, subscribe, click the bell so the next time I send out new video, you'll be available and see it. And share with your friends too. Thanks a lot for watching.